On another exciting episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast, things are sizzling as we're finally hitting our season finale. We got Demon Slayer Season 3, Episode 11, A Connected Bond, Daybreak, and First Light. Right after these ads, we have no control over.
Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for animation deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series, yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Animation Deliberation, the podcast where we take action animation and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. We're your hosts. I'm Zuhair and
And I am Andrew Rogers.
and we made it, bud. We've made it to the end of the Swordsmith Village arc of Demon Slayer.
But why did it have to be over? 11 episodes, it's not enough.
I have similar feelings about this that I do with My Hero, that everything was done so well and so emotionally packed that I just kind of needed that. Okay. At least I know this is coming back soon. They're not pulling an Attack on Titan on us. I can just relax now.
Yes, that is the one true statement. And as much as I want to joke and be like, oh, it ended too soon, I did realize, even with 11 episodes, it's been nearly 3 months that we've been able to watch Demon Slayer every single week, not including the movie came out 4 months ago. I mean, premiere episode came out 4 months ago. Like, we've been on this train for a good little chunk of time. Like, all right, maybe we do need a break. Maybe it's time for other things to appear. But yeah, knowing that it's coming back is good, even though there was a lot of questions from this that, like, it wasn't a cliffhanger, but I still walked away being like, I have so many things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, it's similar to My Hero again. Like, in case anybody hasn't caught up on that, I won't give spoilers, but just the way that they weaned out of it and the entrance of this new character was like the energy anticipation for something new, but still just kind of like, we can breathe now. Because, breathing. Because there's also a lot of anime slated that's coming out soon, and they're spaced out very well. We got Jujutsu Kaisen coming out in 2 weeks as of today's recording.
Oh my gosh, it's only 2 weeks? Oh my gosh.
I started season 1 again. We got Fire Force season 3, is it? Season 3 coming out. We have Attack on Titan at the end of the year. Now we have Secret Invasion for the Marvel side of things. So it's not like we're shy of any content to keep us busy, and that's why I'm okay with having this break, because they communicate so well, and because I know that I'm not going to have to like sit and wonder what's happening next. Like, I guess now we're just going to go into spoiler stuff, but I'm not talking about the episode directly yet, but the end of this... Okay, no. As soon as this episode ended, we got a teaser for what the next arc was going to be and promotional material right off the back with the Hashira training arc. And the images look stunning. The trailer had me so hype, and it's just kind of like, take your time because I know you're going to kill it, and I'm anxiously waiting this, what was it, March arrival, I think it was?
I don't know. I don't think we have an official date. I do know they confirmed the season, but I don't think there was any, like...
And confirmed 2024.
Yeah, I don't think they did anything of like, here's when you're actually going to be seeing it. If their track record stays the same, it should be early 2024 because they've been on a 1-year cadence, but they didn't say like, oh, here's what it's going to be. Here's how long it's going to be. Like, we don't know if it's going to be another 10 episode thing or not. So yeah, they just said, all right, here's what's coming next.
Yeah. Two things that blew my mind about that trailer was, one, that Uzui was on it. So I guess he really isn't allowed to quit. And
I mean, we kind of knew that it was going to be a little bit questionable. Like, how far can he walk away, especially when they are in such a time of need? Like, it's not even like it's a little bit of, we might be shorthanded by 1 or 2 people. No, they were shorthanded before. Now, well, he's shorthanded as well, but still aiding where he can.
The way that Entertainment District ended, and because of the revelations of this one, I feel like the master is just on a high that he feels like we can finally go on the offensive. And the second thing that blew me away with that trailer was the weapons. The Stone Hashira's freaking chain, and is it called a flail?
I don't know if it's a flail or a mace, or if there's some other term that we don't like actually.
Chained mace. Let's just call it a chain mace before I say the wrong thing. And the fact that the Serpent Hashira has a Chris. That is the sword that I have. It was what I was gifted when I got my black belt in Kali.
There you
So seeing
go.
my sword on his hand was like, ooh, this is gonna be fun.
I'm expecting demonstrations at that point then.
I'll send you my black belt choreography for the time being. But yeah, that sword is wicked cool. It's just got waves on it. KRIS, if anybody's interested in looking that up.
Oh, yes.
After
That's
I got a
always
history
good to have
lesson last
spelling.
week about how Mitsuri's sword is actually based off ancient Indian martial arts. That's that's on the Filipino realm. I really want to know. Just call it a flail now.
Well, because I know there's a
Yep.
flail and a mace, but I don't know what the difference between the
Flail is
two.
on a chain, mace is on a handle.
Oh, is mace just on a stick? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Ball
know.
on a stick.
Ball on a stick, on a chain.
One thing that I was very excited about that I almost impulsively did, but thankfully I didn't, was the Demon Slayer takeover of Times Square. Having all the images and the music and all that stuff playing, all the official content like came out for that, and it looked so cool. Just having everything take over all the screens there.
Yes, honestly, it seemed like I. Everyone knew what was happening, obviously, but it was still very like surreal to kind of watch and like feel the energy through the videos of that happening.
Mm-hmm. So cool. So I guess that's it for preliminary stuff. We can hop onto the episode after I tell you why aren't you drinking enough water. So summer is here, festival season, travel season, blazing heat season, and that is why you need to carry liquid IVs with you. This is something that I've been using almost every day for a few years now. It is a very convenient product. It's just one stick that has the powders that gives you all the essential vitamins that you need to stay hydrated. Especially somebody like me who works outdoors and drives around for work a lot, you sometimes don't even realize not only how dehydrated you are, but sometimes like you think you're hungry when your body's just telling you that you're thirsty. And being able to just open up one of these packets and throw it in a bottle of water or whatever bottle of water you carry with you and chug it down like really helps understand kind of like just when you need to be hydrated, and it helps you not eat as much with that misunderstanding. So, one stick of liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and most efficiently than water alone. It has 12 delicious flavors, including Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, and acai berry. And they have new flavors with sea berry and strawberry lemonade. Contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C, with 3 times the electrolytes of a traditional sports drink. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. I can't stress enough how helpful this product is, whether you're going to be partying at weddings a lot, whether you're going to be outdoors a lot, whether you're just a fitness buff or just trying to get back into the gym. Prioritize your health, stay hydrated, and the best way to do that is Liquid IV. So, get 20% off your order when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code STAYWHELMED at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code STAYWHELMED at liquidiv.com. All right. Ready for a synopsis?
Ready as I'll ever be because I don't know if I can go any longer without spoiler talk on this one.
Demon Slayer Season 3, Episode 11, A Connected Bond, Daybreak, and First Light. Tanjiro reaches the fleeing Hantengu by combining his Hinokami Kagura with Thunder Breathing's technique. As he severs his neck, Hantengu grows into Urami, a larger, aggressive clone of himself, and attacks him. Genya and Nezuko attack Urami, but he falls off a cliff. As Urami tries to find humans to devour, Tanjiro, using his combined techniques and the ancient sword provided by Muichiro, decapitates him. With dawn approaching, he rushes back to Nezuko to protect her from the sunlight, only for her to reveal Umari is still alive, as it was not Hantengu, but his resentment's manifestation. Day breaks and Nezuko begins to burn. Without help, his sister dying in his arms and Urami still alive, Tanjiro freezes. Nezuko kicks him away and signals for him to kill the demon. Using his sense of smell, Tanjiro locates Hantengo, hiding inside Urumi's heart, and slices it apart, exposing him to the sunlight.
Huntango relives his criminal human life as he is decapitated and burns to ashes simultaneously, saving an exhausted Mitsuri from Zohan
Zohakuten?
Sohakuten. I feel like this was one of the first times we got his name, so apologize for that. Who disintegrates as well. As Tanjiro grieves his sister's death, he turns to see the still demon Nezuko no longer burning, to much relief and joy. Through Hantango's memories, Muzan realizes his goal to conquer the sun can be achieved by devouring Nezuko. It is revealed he was a sickly young man from the Heian period. Enraged by his lack of recovery, he kills the doctor treating him, but realized his last treatment had enhanced his physical abilities and saved his life, though has left him unable to walk in sunlight. Since then, he has failed to find the doctor's last component, the blue spider lily, and resorted to creating demons in hopes that one could conquer the sun. In the battle's aftermath, Muichiro thanks Tanjiro for helping him regain his identity, and Mitsuri embraces them for all surviving. As he leaves the village, the Swordsmiths celebrate Tanjiro for saving them.
So I feel like, I'm not trying to sound negative here, I feel like this episode didn't give us as much as I thought, but was long because it was
Yes.
adding emphasis to the emotions that it needed. Because, like, reading this synopsis right here does not add anything to how, like,
Oh,
emotional
no. No.
and deep and, like, all these scenes were. So, like, not much happened, but
But a
there
lot
was a
happened.
lot to it, if that makes sense.
Yes, I feel like the amount of things that we saw was equivalent to what we would normally see in like a half hour, maybe 40-minute episode, but they extended so much of it and really went into the depths of like, okay, how is this going to make us feel? What is this going to mean for all of it going forward? So yeah, it was long to be a good thing, but I also think it was long in the fact that it was basically 2 episodes put together. If you look at Entertainment District, there was a big debate like, was it good or bad that they did the fight in the second to last episode and then the last episode is tying up loose ends? This kind of did both of those just
Mm-hmm.
in a longer format. So it's like, oh, okay, this is just a best of both worlds situations where we can tie it up without feeling let down that, oh, the finale was only Muzan's backstory or something like that. But
Okay, I was
yeah,
about to say, if this was 2 episodes, where would you split it?
well, if it was 2 episodes, I think it would have been a cliffhanger of right as you cut off Hantangu's head, like proper, like Hantangu dead. Cut the episode there, and then finale episode, quote, finale episode would have been, hey, guess what? Nezuko's alive. And also, this is what it means for Muzan. Also, here's his backstory. Also, here's the celebration of Tanjiro. I feel like that's what would have happened. And I wouldn't be
That's
surprised if
better
they
than mine.
actually I wouldn't be surprised if they wrote it as that originally and then just said, but what if we put them together and air it all at once?
Yeah, mine would have been when Muzan was coming out of his like child body and had that revelation of like, oh my god, there's another one. Like that would have been like the cut for me.
That's pretty good. Like, I don't think either is bad, but I
Yeah,
think the
but
best
having all of
answer is
them is
what we
great.
got. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Last week I was talking about how Twitter's finally understanding me and like throwing in some anime stuff along with the sports stuff. I regretted that instantly because I was at AwesomeCon all weekend, and of course, like instinctively, I would just open up Twitter, and the first thing I saw was thunder breathing x sun breathing. I was like, "What?" And then
Yup.
throughout the day, like instinctively, I would just open up Twitter and be like, "Stop doing that! I don't need to see any more about this episode." That's one thing I loved about My Hero was that it came out like at the crack of dawn. So by the time I was awake, the episode was there. For Demon Slayer, I have to wait until like the afternoon time to be able to watch it. It's so frustrating. So I'm glad I don't have to deal with that till next year. But hopefully they just come out earlier on the East Coast.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to put some blocks on Twitter on Sundays. But yeah,
Just log out entirely.
yeah, log out entirely. That's just a great first note to start on, was the thunder breathing. Like, they slid that in so much in all of this episode's emotion that like Tanjiro's at another level now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was really cool because I feel like this confirms the conversation we had earlier in the season of are the breathing forms actual things that we see, or is it just a manifestation of their power? I think this all but confirms, okay, it's just for the viewers, it's a manifestation of the power, because
Yeah.
we didn't really see Tanjiro go into thunder mode. There was the
Hmm.
occasional little bit of lightning, but even when he was doing his total concentration and didn't say thunder breathing, it was the same pose, the same movement, but it was still fire to show, oh, this is how we make Tanjiro moves with fire, even though he's doing the exact same thing that Zenitsu taught him, which is so bizarre to say the word Zenitsu taught him anything. Like, was not expecting him to make his appearance like that in this season, but it was awesome that he did, because I kept being like, when is this leg going to come back? He broke it. He can't just
Yeah.
keep running around.
Yeah. You fully understand something when you can learn it, when you can observe it, learn it, and teach it. And Zenitsu can only do one thing. So you know he really understands it because he just did all three. So, yay, Zenitsu. Thank you for being useful this season. But
Yes,
yeah, it was cool because we saw Tanjiro use thunder breathing twice. And the first one, he started with thunder and then finished with Hinokami Kagura. And then the second time at the bottom of the cliff is when he did both at the same time.
yes,
So that was just a really beautiful use of, and he did something similar with water in Hinokami Kagura when he was saving Hinatsuru in the entertainment district arc.
correct. Yeah,
Because he tried doing one and is like, this isn't working, but water breathing is not going to do anything. Let me try mixing it together. And now we see the mix of, I forget the name of it too. I think it was like the flashing dance or something like that. I just remember being like super badass when he gave it a name. I was just like, this is so dope.
yeah. I think it's just a testament to, we theorized at one point, oh, is Tanjiro going to become like the avatar of this universe and, control all the elements?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that we know that they're not really elements, it just makes more sense. Oh, he's going to learn from all these masters, and because he has the essentially the base form of all of the breathing styles, he's going to be able to learn all of these techniques. Even though he's not a trained thunder breather, he can use thunder
Yeah.
breathing things. Even though he's not trained in sound, he's probably going to start using some fang and some sound things from Uzui. So I think it's just super cool to
Isn't the
really
smell
round out
technically
the
beast breathing?
explanation. Possibly, I mean, he's just got that killer sense of smell. He's got that schnoz on him here.
But like how he's evolved it to be able to use it for tracking and understand like he used it as a freaking MRI just now. Like actually seeing
I mean,
Hantengu inside of a heart of Urumi, I was like, whoa.
we did have that like pretty much since season 1, where he had to smell the traps that were set for him by the water breathing master. Like that was the whole like, oh, he can smell really well.
Yeah.
That was when we first did it. But I agree, it has,
We're seeing it honed in like very specifically now.
yes, he's grown both in technique but also visually, because those flashback scenes reminded me how much of a baby boy he was animated as in that first season, and
Mm-hmm.
how far he has come. Like there's a stark difference, and I was not prepared to actually like visually see how much of a difference there was in Tanjiro
Yeah.
from season 1 to now, even though it's only been like a couple years.
I think it's like what, him being 14 to being 18 now, or like 12 to 16 or something of that sort. Like
I was about to say, I don't think he's quite 18 yet.
think we've had a significant jump. I think there's been like a 4 year lapse. What no matter what the ages are, I think it's been a 4 year lapse between episode one and now. Especially because they emphasize all that recovery time that they need. It's not like, all right, I'm magically better. It's like, no, I still can't talk because I just got choked out. I'm still tripping because I got my ankle severed. Like the fact that all those things are a factor and matter is just absolutely incredible. One quick thing I want to touch on with the sword and how insane his freaking swordsmith is we got another little hint of something. Well, two little hints that we got from the opener is we see Tokito throw the sword. So now we know that he was
Yes.
actually like passing it off. When he was yelling, because we've only heard him in like his like monotone low voice, I thought it was Zenitsu. I was like, how did he get over here?
Yeah, I was
Like
like,
this is
wait,
like
is
this
Zenitsu
was
gonna
his
save the
appearance?
day?
Yeah. But no, it was just him like raising his voice for once. So between him throwing that and Nezuko's mouth guard being on the floor was like, oh shit, we actually did get to see both of those things.
Yeah, I mean we've danced around it, but you said it. Nezuko just casually being alive.
Yeah,
I cannot believe it. They sold the heck out of her being dead. Like that flashback scene
fuck
and
you, Twitter.
how long Tanjiro was in the air was just it was a level of like full emotion tears, just like wow, they're really gonna do this. Like I didn't see a way out. I didn't see anything that was going to possibly save her. Maybe Genya, but it was still very much like, no, we have to say goodbye. Like we thought Dark Deku was bad. I think Dark Tanjiro, if Nezuko had actually died, was going to be insane. Because
Oh, I need that What If series.
I was assuming, oh, Nezuko's going to die, and the next season is just going to be Tanjiro going for Muzan's head. Like
Yeah.
that was going to be what was happening, and I'm happy that it came out this way, and it does create an interesting story, even if it was a bit too easy. Like I was like, oh, we just had to burn her demon away. Like what actually happened? She could just talk
Hmm.
now. Like there was a lot that was left open, but I can't complain because I think had we lost Nezuko, you were also losing viewers of the show.
Yeah.
Like she is an integral part, and I'm so happy she's still here. But I don't think any show has sold a death
Yeah.
quite as well as this in a while.
Which is another reason the episode had to be so long because, like I said, it was the weight of the emotions that this episode needed, not so much things happening. So to be able to have those flashbacks and just kind of show, like, we needed to see Tanjiro that angry. Like, he was still mission focused after the decision was taken away from him. Like that contemplation
Yes,
and him actually screaming, I don't know what to do. I can't decide. It's what I said about Mitsuri last week is like seeing our heroes make mistakes and have to make decisions and not know what's right and have these like moral battles with themselves is stuff that superhero things are starting to do more, and audiences aren't able to appreciate because they're so used to the good guy just being right and winning all the time. Like content these days have more gray area, and it's amazing to see. Like to see him struggle to that extent to the point where the only reason that the Hashira haven't killed Nezuko and that the master hasn't ordered him dead is because she's supposed to be fighting for humanity. So
right.
she understands, like, we only got this far because I'm helping the Demon Slayer Corps. This is how I'm going to do it. And she does that by making Tanjiro's decision for him. Because this is why she's there. This is why they're there. And for him to have that decision made for him and then to go back into mission ready of he's getting close to those three, I need to move now because there's nothing else to contemplate. And the rage, the pure rage on his face of I'm fucking done with you, you're dead, was incredible to see. And that's why they had to sell it so hard because as focused as he was beyond heated.
Yeah, no, it was heated, it was emotional, and just him grieving on the ground after the fact was more of selling it. Like, even when they switched the camera kind of to what would become Nezuko's POV, I didn't know who it was. I was like, is it going to be Genya walking up with the body? Is it
Yeah.
going to be, Mitsuri finally coming and being like, oh, what happened to Nezuko? Like, they sold it so well that you weren't expecting to turn and see her. And it just layered it in more because you realize, oh, he did all of that for her. He's even saying it in that moment, like, she's the reason I came this far. She's the reason I joined the Demon Slayer Corps. And yeah, it was so heavy and so emotional, but just in the right way. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how to say it any better. Like you fell in love with this brother and sister all over again. That it didn't matter how hurt he was. He was trying his best to get up and go to her.
Hmm.
Even and even throughout that fight, they were still the brother sister duo of her like pointing over his shoulder like, "No, you have to save those people. You can't just come
Yeah.
like help me get out of the sun." But yeah, I cannot believe how far she's come of that. Like she's still in this childlike state, but she understands what is at risk. That it's humanity. It's not just her.
I like that the other lady demon emphasized that too when she was writing her research report. in regards to like there's a reason that she's staying as a child. There's something that like she's telling herself to be able to focus on this. And I know like what gets her to calm down is thinking of her mother singing to her. And even like one of the things that popped up on Twitter was their fight with Rui the spider family, and
Yes.
how like her mom came to her to say like you have to protect Tanjiro, wake up, wake up, wake up. So there's this innocence of her being loved by her mother that's really keeping her in check right now, and I want to know if they emphasize that on that farther down.
Yeah, my guess as to what it was is her mind is focused on saving Tanjiro, keeping Tanjiro
Hmm.
safe. Like that's where she is. So her mind is so preoccupied with that that she can't, age and go forward and, make more happen. It's just going to be this childlike Nezuko, which I think is still fun. Like even though she can talk, it's not going to be it's not going to be a new character all of a sudden that's going to have dialogue all the time. It's going to be
Yeah,
little things coming out of her similar to her non-vocal performances where it's going to be a lot of pointing and emotion and shouting and different things like that.
yeah.
So it's still going to have the core of the character, but now she just doesn't have to have a muzzle, and I'm sure it's going to create some amazing fun moments that aren't just, faces with two dots on it anymore. It's going to be,
Oh
little
my god,
jabs
the
coming
fact
out of
that
it.
still when she was talking to Muichiro, and like every time Muichiro moved his head, like she was still mimicking that. This is so cute.
Yeah, same old Nezuko, just hanging out.
Yeah, seeing Muichiro's reaction with them and just the level of respect that he has for Tanjiro and thanking him even though he didn't understand was really beautiful to see. But when Mitsuri comes in, she was like, "We did it, guys! We survived!" But just the way that she was freaking out, like I was kind of underwhelmed with how that ended because they added the comedic spin to it. But it was still just really good of her freaking like, "I almost died!" But then the relief of like, "Oh, we got him," and then she was hugging Genya and Tokito, which was really funny because Genya was just like had all the blood rush to his head, but
Yeah, he was a little heated.
the excitement of seeing Nezuko and then flipping out when she spoke. There's just the one line, and I wish I could remember. I tried looking it up just now too. The Japanese line. Just her shock, and then with how much love that those two have for each other as practically sisters now was just absolutely beautiful. And Tanjiro, being as broken as he was just riding Nezuko's back again, like, yeah, you guys hug because you will crack something if you touch me right now."
Yeah, is it the end of a Demon Slayer season if we don't get the chance to see Tanjiro and Nezuko's back? I feel like
Yeah.
that's just a staple at this point of like, oh yeah, the fight's over, so this is what's gonna happen. But
Nobody
yeah,
died.
nobody died, and I agree it was a bit anticlimactic with the turn that they took, but I also think it was interesting the amount of stuff that once again it felt like they left out. We kind of talked last season, like we never got to see him say goodbye to Uzui, and they did that again when he was leaving the village and leaving everyone. I was like, he didn't say goodbye to Mitsuri or ask Genya what was going on with his demon or
Yeah, I
any.
definitely need a little more clarification on that.
Yeah, there was just so many like, oh, Tanjiro's leaving the village again. Do 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 do. I was like, there's so many things. What do you mean? You just saved all these lives alongside your brothers. Like, are they okay? I'm assuming that like we're not going to see or not going to have Muichiro die off screen, but he was pretty worse for wear the last time that we saw him. So
I
that
feel
that
like
was the only.
they healed up and left the village a lot sooner than Tanjiro could.
Yeah, I that was
Because I'm sure they had to
another
like get
like.
back and report.
Yeah, I was wondering if they like because they didn't show any sort of passage of time, but it felt like there was a decent passage of time because Tanjiro no longer had a hole in him, and like, yeah, he couldn't walk, but it was still very much like he was better than he was at the end of
Yeah.
this fight.
Yeah, it was really sweet how they just gave him the cart and the way that they were celebrating him on the way out. Mentioning Genya, seeing him catch on fire too by Nezuko, like had me scared for him for a little bit.
Yeah, he did not get to apply much to this episode, but what he did apply was awesome in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because we skipped kind of to the middle because that's where the big chunk of things was. But I do want to go back to the beginning. That opening scene, it set the tone in terms of animation. We haven't talked about it at all, but holy crap, did they pull out the stunners in this episode? All of the scenery, the trees, and the mountain range with the sun coming over it, they just
Yeah.
did not pull their punches. But that opening scene, it was so extraordinarily reminiscent of Mugen Train. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to read into it in terms of like, oh, what parallels they're going for, but just Tanjiro shouting after a demon running through the forest, being like, don't be a coward, you need to face what you've done, felt so similar to him chasing off Akaza after he killed Rengoku. And instead of throwing a sword, you have Genya coming in, throwing trees to try and hit him. It was all so many similar notes that I was just like, they've grown because there's now a team of people doing this as opposed to just Tanjiro being emotional. Like, no, he's going to get him. He's not going to let him escape again. And I thought that was a really cool parallel, even if not necessarily what they were going for. I was getting extreme vibes of that exact feeling again.
Teamwork, dreamwork.
Oh, heck yeah. And this is the best
Yeah.
team.
I don't think I have too much to add to that. I'm I'm curious how much of other characters at their level we'll see, because they don't really talk about the ranks much. So it's like I can't even remember what they're called or how they go.
Well, so if we're going to talk about ranks, I'm going to fan theory a bit with you here, and I want your opinions on this. So I have not watched the trailer for the next season yet. And you mentioned it is called the Hashira training arc.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that means Tanjiro is getting promoted? Because that was the one thing at the end of this that I was like, how does this boy not get promoted after this?
Yeah.
Because we talked way back, the way that someone gets promoted to Hashira is either killing 50 demons or killing a member of the 12 Kizuki.
Mm-hmm.
And they mentioned at the start of this season he did not get promoted to Hashira because he had help from Uzui. Like, Uzui was actually the one that did a good chunk of the beheading and stuff to kill Daki
Gyutaro.
and Gyutaro. Thank you. But this was a lot Tanjiro. Tanjiro was the one that took out Hantegu. Yes, he couldn't have done it without Mitsuri's help to distract hatred, but like,
And Genya when they were fighting for at
yeah,
once.
I don't know. There's still like an argument to be made that this would not like Mitsuri would have died had it not been for Tanjiro actually beheading the demon on time.
Yeah.
So do we think that's why it's called the Hashira training arc? Like, is he becoming a Hashira or is he just training with more of the Hashira?
So James Ellis's email kind of helps with this too.
Yeah.
James Ellis, just one sentence: the demon mark will get explained in the next arc, but it's basically an adrenaline boost for the Slayers. We haven't seen all of the Hashira use this, so I feel like we are going to see that to an extent. Like I said, I feel like this is the first time that the Demon Slayer Corps feel like they can go on the offensive, and I think they're gonna start having the Hashira push each other and really like bulk each other up. So I think like in Black Clover when they had the captains battle, like the tournament with
Yes.
4v4. I think that's what we're getting with the Hashira.
Oh, so it's just gonna be a Hashira just duking it out, being like, "We got to train
Yeah.
more."
Like we're gonna see. I think we're gonna get a lot of them being highlighted individually, and then how, like they're gonna set like a really high bar. Like we're asking like how is Tanjiro not a Hashira yet? I think this arc is gonna answer that because they're gonna show us like what all the Hashira are fully capable of.
And I would love to do that because, no offense to, I mean, they're fictional characters, but I'll preface anyway. No offense to Mitsuri and Muichiro, I don't feel like they were as over the top impressive as seeing Rengoku and Uzui was. And maybe that's because we were still kind of new to the Hashira idea, but like it felt like they were on the same playing field as Tanjiro was throughout the season. And I think that's why the question is in my head of like, okay, when is it his turn? So I would love to go back to the basics, be like, all right, here's actually the skill difference between us, kid. Like, watch and learn.
So from the rankings, Uzui is actually the weakest of them all.
Right, I do
He
remember that.
took on number 6.
And that's the
And then
weird
for
thing because like Uzui felt more powerful than Mitsuri and Muichiro did. And maybe that's because we didn't get to highlight them as much this season. Like Muichiro's fight was such a joke because he was so powerful, so he doesn't feel powerful.
Yeah,
Like that's the
Muichiro
weird problem.
Muichiro also had a loner sword.
That's true.
And we saw like how Tanjiro like wasn't able to cut through with his loner sword either. So like the weapons that they used were definitely a factor in that.
Okay, yeah, I mean I could believe it. I just want give me more. Make them more impressive. Make it over the top. Or
Yeah.
maybe this is just to show that the skill gap is closing a little bit. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we have in order of this first list that I pulled up, it's Tengen, Shinobu, Rengoku, Mitsuri, Iguro, the Serpent Hashira, Muichiro, the Mist, Giyu, the Water, Sanemi, the Wind, and then Gyome, the Stone, is the most
Okay.
powerful.
Yeah, and I know we talked about that because I think that was part of like why Uzui is so flashy and he still uses smoke bombs and poisons is because like
He's
he's
a ninja
making
first,
up for not being quite as good of a swordsman as the rest of them.
which kind of what I said about the upper whatever the Gyoko. Like he's
The
more of a
Kizuki.
stealth guy and sneak attack guy,
Yes.
which is why he got quote unquote taken out easier.
Yeah. Okay. I can work with that. And at the same time, the Hashira are going to have to pull themselves together because even if Hantengu and Gyoko were not as over the top as the rest, we know what Akaza is capable of. And there's
Mm-hmm.
still two other demons above him that we don't know what they're capable of. So that's even more terrifying to know that, like, there's really four major demons left, and they are all the most terrifying things that we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we're in for a lot. I think we're in for more, and I feel like there's something I'm forgetting from this episode. But God, there was so much that just happened.
I mean, we haven't touched on the Muzan part of it at all yet.
There you go. See, I'm like I'm forgetting something. It's
I
Muzan.
tried to split those two intentionally too because I felt like that was just a decent split. But yeah, it was interesting to see his backstory and the fact that he's evil just for the sake of being evil.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's evil, but it's also like I love this explanation that they're not really demons. We're categorizing them as demons because like that's what the people of the world, you know, say they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only way they can explain it to themselves is like, oh, it's a demon, but like it's really a disease
Yeah.
because oh, I have the same blood as this man. That's how you would spread a disease
Mm-hmm.
in someone's blood, and okay, that
This
means
is
you
really the
can't go in
start
the
of a zombie
sunlight.
movie.
Yeah, it essentially is something along those lines. And yes, there's something bigger in the magic of their like blood demon arts. But at the end of the day, it's not like the standard, oh, the demon came from hell and is wreaking havoc because of that. Like, no, it's just a man who wanted more power
Yeah.
and tried to take it and then created an army for himself essentially because like more blood made him more powerful.
Do we think he was the first demon?
That's how I read it. Was like he was the first demon, and then he started spreading it to others so that he could create more demons to hopefully find the cure or the one that could walk in the sun, which also is another. Yeah, I know. I can't remember how long ago I called it, but I know there was a podcast where I was like, "What if Muzan's whole thing is he's trying to get in the sunlight so that he can fight the humans in the daytime?" And turns out not how I thought we were going to get there, but we got there somehow, folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
I
read it
vaguely
as he's the
remember you
first
saying,
demon.
like, imagine how terrifying he'd be if he could be out in the sun.
Yeah.
And I like the callback that we had to the citizen that he clawed to distract Tanjiro.
Yes.
And the fact that he's okay now, it's like, oh, we're getting cures now too? Interesting. I'm
Yeah,
sure, like, the
because
amount of time that you've had the disease is a factor in it, but the fact that we're, like, expanding on it is very fascinating.
yeah, and it was interesting that they were able to cure the man, but there was nothing about the demon woman curing herself. Like she didn't seem to be
Again,
better.
I think the duration's a factor.
I think there's a lot at play, and And I think they will explain it more, but like Nezuko basically being like this anti-demon definitely seems to have something going on. If you want to equate it back to being a virus of some kind, she would have the antibodies or the way to like keep herself cured. But yeah, it
I
was
think it was her not consuming people that might have been a factor. Her not being somebody who consumes people and being the descendant of a sun breather are two
yeah,
things that I think are going to have something to do with it.
I think it's definitely the sun breathing because it's like I mean, there was the direct line in the woman's letter that was, I think Nezuko is going to be able to conquer the sun. And that
Mm-hmm.
feels very much the parallel to, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Tanjiro the sun breather, she is also of the sun breathing lineage. And what that means for her, we don't really know. But I think it's an awesome through line because like Nezuko should have special powers. She's still like Tanjiro's sister. She shouldn't
Yeah.
be out of this picture just because she's a demon. Like, no, she should have the powers.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Makes me question like the correlation between Muzan's sickness and the Master's sickness because they've been cursed for generations now.
yeah, I mean maybe it's the same sickness, but the master has refused to take the medicine because he like knows, oh, this is what could happen. I could see
Or he
something along
takes the
those lines.
medicine not to change?
Or maybe it's that like maybe the curse that like maybe he was attacked by Muzan and got some of his blood but somehow managed to resist becoming a demon, and that's why he's dying is because
But
like,
this
well,
has to
there's
be
nothing
like
else.
his great 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 grandfather or something because they talk about how it's like a lineage thing.
Yeah, there's so many layers to that we've I know we've argued on it because it's not clear. Like they say
Deliberation.
things. Yes, sorry. It is both a deliberation and a conversation. But
Blue spider lily.
yeah, I'm very intrigued that like that just is now thrown away. Like the whole I don't need a blue spider lily anymore. I just need Nezuko.
What if it's a factor for the master though?
It could be a
Or
factor for the master.
something for the lady demon to make some type of cure or some type of like something to weaponize and use against Muzan.
Yeah,
I don't
we
think they're
need a
just gonna throw it out that easily. I think who's gonna need it is gonna be the factor.
yeah, it feels like it's something there, but I feel like it's definitely the idea that we
All right, we had a little bit of technical difficulty and lost Andrew, but thankfully we didn't have too much else to add to that. Anyways, we had a phenomenal season 3, excellent animation, excellent music, excellent sense of emotion. So we are very excited for season 4, the Hashira training arc, to be coming out sooner than later. Again, we love Ufotable and their ability to communicate with us, so we will try to be as patient as possible as this new season come out. We would love your feedback of the whole series. I know some people are waiting for all of it to be out. Some people are waiting for the dub to come out. At whatever pace you guys are watching, we hope you enjoyed the season. We hope you enjoyed our coverage of it. Please leave us a review, 5-star preferably. And as always, give us some feedback so we can talk about it. If a lot of people reach out, we'll definitely do a whole episode set for that. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the This Week in Animation segments that we do when there's news to cover. If you want to reach out to us on any of our social media, then Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are the places to go. Just look up Animation Deliberation, and I'm sure you'll find us. Aside from that, I know Andrew had some appearances on source pages for the comic coverage of Flashpoint. We are going to have our coverage with the source pages host to do Flashpoint Paradox versus the Flash movie. And for Jay Scotty, check out Multiverse News every week on Stranded Panda. And actually, you can catch a video version of that on Spotify and YouTube, so be sure to check that out. And Bingers Assemble for the Mission Impossible coverage that's going on before the theater release of that. As for me, check out 323 with Reed Murphy. We got to do our panel at AwesomeCon. That whole hour and a half panel is going to be on YouTube soon. I got some video footage of some of the incredible artists that we have over there, and we even had our Sunday hangover, just kind of talking about our favorite things about it. Top 5 Disney songs. and just a bunch of other great content. So thank you as always for supporting us. Thank you for checking in. Be sure to tune in next time. That's TWONIN. And as always, stay whelmed. Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.